Greetings and welcome back to the Osha Cerese Show. I am your host, Osha Cerese, and this is where culture meets coaching, where healing meets headlines, and where we utilize alchemy to transmute gossip into growth. Happy Friday, y'all. I know it's technically Saturday, but hey, it's Friday somewhere, okay? It's only Saturday in the East Coast. I am super excited to see you all. Thank you all for tuning in. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, this is the perfect time to come on over here to YouTube, tap in, subscribe, and turn on your notifications because this is a weeknight, late night pop-up show, and you never know when I'm going to pop up. So again, thank you for tuning in. I'm Osha Cerese, certified life coach, experience curator, and dream doula, supporting you with birthing your ideas into reality. Whew. It's been a day. It's been a good day. Um, it's been a good day. It was a busy evening, but we made it here. I told you I was going to be here today. So let's do a toast. Drink of the evening, some good old fashioned berry punch. Don't look at this calendar that still says April. I'll fix it tomorrow, Lord willing. But berry punch, cheers to an amazing episode 60. Love, happiness, abundance, genuine connections, meaningful conversations, wealth, great health, all the things. Cheers. I was a little thirsty today. Hold on. I had to get my gulp on. But yes, I just wanted to acknowledge that this is episode 60. We've missed a few episodes in the past few weeks, but we've made it to episode 60. That's a great, huge, big old, wonderful, amazing milestone. Like I told y'all before, I've never done any show of mine, anything like this by myself on my own as the showrunner for 60 times. Like that is a great milestone. Imagine if I was just doing a weekly show like most people do. This is like over a year's worth of content. So I am proud of myself. Um Episode 60. I'm super excited. And this is good. So before we get into our topics, I just wanted to say that I posted day 2 of the Chicago travel vlog from last weekend. It is on my page, it's on my channel. And looking forward to you all seeing it. Give me your feedback. I see a few people have already watched. But we're celebrating just the union and black love and black energy, black joy, um, all the time. But I feel like it was really captured in the reel with my best friend TJ and his wife Kanisha. You can see the love they have for each other. You can see the love they have for their families. You can see the love all of us had for them and each other. And it was just a beautiful experience. And I really enjoyed being like in the Chicago culture, like the dances, the lingo, the style. Very dope. It was my first time in Chicago, so I really appreciate everybody that showed love. And I'm glad that I got to experience it. So check it out. And day 3 hopefully will be dropping tomorrow because it took a long time to edit day 2, but I don't think it'll take as long for day 3, so we'll see. The goal is for me to drop it tomorrow. So I want y'all to stay tuned for that. So as you know, as we discussed yesterday, in the month of May, we are going to be talking about mental health awareness. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, which I feel is a great segue from April National Stress Awareness Month, because stress, mental health is all under the same umbrella, but we can go a little bit deeper when it comes to mental health. So Today, I wanted to talk about, because something I said yesterday sparked this topic for me, but the stigma of going to therapy, receiving therapy in the Black community. When I was talking yesterday um, about the different signs of depression, I mentioned that I initially started going to therapy in 2012. And I don't know if I knew anybody that really was seeking therapy or going to therapy per se around that time. I grew up, my parents aren't super like they're very spiritual, and I don't want to say very religious, but they're religious to a certain extent. They're not like every Sunday church goers, or they weren't when I was growing up. My mom watches church every Sunday and she attends sometimes now. But when I was growing up, I wasn't like in a church house every Sunday. My dad, um, he grew up in the church as a child, but I think as an adult, he also explored to see what resonates with him. And it's usually somewhere between Christianity and Nation of Islam. So he follows teachings of both. And but my dad's side of the family, who I mostly grew up around being in the same city and state, Denver, Colorado, they're very religious. So I would often hear, you know, people just basically saying, instead of going to therapy, you just pray about it, go to church, listen to the word, get into your Bible, talk to your pastor. Um, but I don't really think I heard anyone talking about going to therapy. Maybe as I got older, and of course, being in the medical field, um, I started out in the medical field probably, I want to say when I was 18. I was a caregiver, passed meds, did all of that. Then I went to nursing school when I was 19. So, of course, you start hearing about therapy and you have benefits at these jobs that include therapy. So, I wasn't really closed off to it per se, but I just wasn't, um, it just wasn't something that I went ahead and sought at initially. But when I was married, of course, I went through a lot of stress. I went through a lot of things. Let's just say that I'm gonna be talking to y'all more about some of the things that I was going through um in my story time series. But I don't know what did it. I don't know what was like the straw that made me decide to go ahead and enroll in therapy, but I was so grateful that I did. So my first therapist was an older white woman. I don't even remember. I don't think anybody referred me to her. I think just the job that I was at offered it. I checked out who accepted my insurance, and I ended up scheduling with her. And again, which I've already shared, when I started going to see her, and she was able to identify some of the things that I was actually dealing with, put a name to it, put a diagnosis with it. And it's not that I was super excited about having things being diagnosed with certain things, but it was eye opening. Like, okay, that makes sense. That's why this is happening. One of which is PTSD. When you think of PTSD, you're thinking usually of a soldier or somebody that's been to war, not necessarily someone that has experienced some type of trauma in their lives. So, being able to acknowledge that depression, anxiety, and those things, I actually have, I still have the workbook that she gave me. She gave me a PTSD workbook. I don't even know if I did the work in it, y'all, but I still have it on my shelf. But one of the major things that she provided to me that really became an eye opener as well, she gave me a list of rights. I still have it somewhere in here. And it was just like, you have the right to do this, a right to do that. And one of the things was like the right to say no. And back then I was, when you look in the dictionary, when you open the dictionary and look up people pleaser, you would have saw my face like, what can I do to help? I was definitely a people pleaser, um, oftentimes to my detriment. So she recommended that I read. There was two books that she recommended. One, I still have one of them. Um, Trying to see if it's on my shelf. One was like anxious to please, and then the other one was a need to please. It's somewhere over there. But once I started understanding about healthy boundaries, setting healthy boundaries, and being able to say no and not being responsible for other people's happiness and all of these things, it opened up a lot for me. It was the beginning stages of my healing journey. I was not anywhere near where I needed to be as far as my journey of developing a sense of self-worth and raising my standards and all of that, but it did unlock certain things that made me realize, wow, um, this is why I do that. This is linked to that. This is how I can stop doing that. It provided me with tools. It provided me with understanding, clarity, and support. And I did enjoy um, being able to just talk to somebody that wasn't biased, didn't have any attachment to the people that I was talking about. So that was my introduction to therapy, and I was just so grateful for that. And since then, I've had black women therapists, and then I had a black man therapist at one point. I really liked him too. Um, I felt like because a lot of the the negative things that I've been through in life have been attached to black men, I was like, let me see if it would help for me to have a therapist that's a black man, and it did. I really did enjoy being his client. So I'm definitely an advocate of therapy. I'm very open about my journey with therapy. And talk therapy is definitely very helpful. Now, I also feel like there's other tools and healing modalities that are also helpful as well. And talk therapy, I still benefit from talk therapy now, but my most recent therapist, she reminded me oftentimes that it's like you're so self-aware and you know you have these tools already that, you know, talk therapy is cool, but you already know. You know the things. I'm not really having to hold a mirror up too much. And not saying that I'm beyond someone checking me or showing me my flaws or faults, but I have done a lot of work. So sometimes other methods of therapy would work a little bit better for me than talk therapy at times. So I might pause the talk therapy and then seek other ways of healing. But some of the hesitations people have in our community when it comes to therapy is they think therapy is for white people. And that could be further from the truth. It's definitely for white people though, but it's for black people too and everybody. It's not anti-black to go to therapy. So let's just cut that out. Another thing people say is we don't air out our business to strangers. What happens in this house stays in this house, those type of things. And y'all know I always talk about this. I think that mindset is what keeps us going through a lot of the traumas that we go through. Trying to keep everything hidden, sweep everything under the rug. Don't say nothing. Shh. Even when like people growing up, when you have maybe someone in your home or your family that has a mental illness and everybody just hiding them in the back and acting like the shit don't exist, not doing anything to help. Like, get this person help, see them as a human, interact with them, figure out what's going on, acknowledge it, stop trying to pretend like it's not happening. Um, but a lot of times trying to keep all your business in your house and not wanting to air out your business to strangers is why you're suffering in silence, which we're going to talk more about that too on today's show. Another thing, which I already just said earlier, is I can just pray it away. Um, People just feeling like they don't need therapy, they just give it to God. And that's going to be always the first thing that you do. Give it to God, pray about it, get on your knees, pray, go to your altar, whatever it is that you do to connect with the source, with the Most High, with God, with Jesus, with Allah, whoever you praise and pray to. That's definitely a part of your healing, but it also, God also gave these certain gifts to people to be educated, to be knowledgeable, to be wise enough to hold space for you and help you through your process. another stigma, therapists don't understand Black culture. And I will say there is some truth to that. You really have to vet, just like y'all know I talk about vetting almost every episode when it comes to romantic relationships and partnerships and friendships, but also when it comes to business and when it comes to who you are adding on your team of therapists, healers, counsel, all of that. Everybody needs to be vetted. So, like I said, my first therapist was a older white woman. So even though she probably can't relate to or understand per se certain things that go on in Black culture, Black households, Black marriages, Black parenting style, whatever, there are some things that she could help me with, understanding what's going on with me, what linking my symptoms to an actual cause and effect, helping me to process certain emotions and thoughts. All of these things she was wonderful at. But then when I feel like I want someone who can actually relate to my Black experience, then I started seeing Black women. The first Black therapist that I had, Black woman therapist, she needed to be vetted too. Because although she was Black and a Black woman could understand certain aspects, there were certain things about her that I didn't appreciate. I felt like at times she was unprofessional. Showing up to I usually would have the first session of the day because it was when I worked for a clinic, a large clinic where you have all of your specialties in the same building. And so I'm coming to you before my shift starts, really coming to my shift late so I can have my appointment. I have the first appointment of the day. Your ass is late. I can't stay later because you're late because you have another slot after me that you're going to have to make sure you're on time with. So if you're late and I'm not getting an extension on my session, why am I paying full price? Why am I paying my full copay? There was another time when there was a staff meeting in the middle of my session and she just got up, didn't say nothing. Oh, I'll be right back. Was gone for 20 plus minutes and came back. Did I get a refund or a discount? Absolutely not. There was another time, and I was seeing her when I was like 29 to 30. So that was really when I was in the thick of my healing journey, actually. So I really needed somebody that I didn't, she wasn't the right person. I should have vetted her, long story short. But I was reading her a letter that I had wrote to my dad a couple of months before I turned 30. And the first thing she did was criticize the fact that I started the letter with Dear Daddy. She's like, can you call him something else? She was disgusted. And I'm like, girl, you're projecting because you're projecting one and you're sexualizing what I call my father. My father raised me and his name is Daddy because I'm his daughter. Like, I call him Daddy like most people call their fathers Daddy, men and women who were raised by their fathers. It's not, I don't know too many people that say dad, father. Some people say pops. Some people say, whatever. But his name is Daddy. So I didn't appreciate the fact that she was projecting her own ick onto me and what I was writing. She's like, can't you just refer to him as something else? No, I'm going to refer to him as what I call him. What are you talking about? Then I think in the middle of the letter, I heard her holding back laughter. And I was talking about something serious. So needless to say, shortly after that, I stopped going to her. The next therapist that I got with was a Black man. So even though he can't understand per se the Black woman experience, I felt like he would have a great perspective from a male point of view. And I did enjoy him as a therapist. I didn't feel like I couldn't share with him. He was very knowledgeable. And then my most recent therapist is a Black woman. And she's also a Black woman that incorporates holistic wellness. So I like that. Like, she incorporated breath work and meditation, and she had other healing tools outside of just talk therapy. So you got to vet your therapist. You got to pick who resonates with you, who makes you feel safe, who holds space for you in the right way, who keeps you accountable, who doesn't just agree with everything that you say, someone who challenges you, and someone who can meet you where you are. Some of the other hesitancies people may say, Black people specifically, when it comes to therapy: I don't need help, I'm strong. So we talked about this, and we've talked about it before. We talked about it yesterday, like check on your strong friends. You know, you can be strong, but everybody deserves someone that they can lean on, that they can trust, that they can talk to. And holding all the weight of the world on your shoulders, feeling like you don't need nobody to talk, will have you snapping one day. Whether that's snapping in rage, snapping in an emotional breakdown, outburst, everybody has a breaking point. And it's just not fair to yourself or your nervous system to be holding all of that in because you feel like you're strong and you can handle it. And even if you think you're that strong and you can handle it, or you think you're handling it well, you probably are not. Like I said, your nervous system is probably unregulated, or your stress and worry and all the things that you're holding in can manifest into a physical ailment. So don't make yourself sick trying to be so strong, feeling like you don't need nobody. Another thing is it costs too much. And I know when we have all of these things that we have to pay for, we have to pay for a rent, mortgage, bills, groceries, traveling back and forth, all the things that we have to pay for. A lot of times therapy ends up being one of the things that people will eliminate until they are on their feet or they have really good insurance. There are services that will support you with some type of free therapy or support on your therapy discounts. As a self-employed woman slash entrepreneur, I don't always have really good insurance. I have great insurance right now, but when I wasn't insured, I found a therapist who kind of works on a sliding scale. So her rates were a lot less than what she normally charges. So you can find therapy um, or some type of support for mental health with your budget. So don't get discouraged. And then another one that Black people say as far as going to therapy is they don't want to seem crazy. And that is, I think that's one of the number one things when it comes to the stigma of therapy. They automatically think that you're going to be labeled as crazy. You're going to be labeled as crazy if you don't go to therapy because, like I said, it's going to manifest into some type of physical ailment, some type of outburst, some type of breakdown. Go get you some help and support. It's not necessarily has to be a diagnosis or something wrong with you. It could just be it's preventative care. It's something that you do to prevent yourself from having any type of meltdowns, breakdowns, or physical ailments. And it's just like you have, excuse me, it's the juice. You have someone for you all other areas of your body. You don't mind getting a physical therapist when you want to work out. You don't mind having a spiritual counsel, a pastor, a healer, somebody that supports you on your spiritual health. Um, every area of your life you can have support, you know, whether you need extra help with whatever. Why is it wrong to have someone to help you with your mental health? Your mental health really governs a lot of the other things. Your mental health can affect your emotional health. Your mental health can affect your spiritual health. Your mental health can affect your physical health. So take care of your mental health. Ain't nobody gonna think you crazy. And if they do, they crazy. Okay? Tell them to go to therapy. So I'm gonna always advocate for it. Therapy is definitely good for processing your trauma, processing your thoughts, processing your emotions, unpacking the things that you are holding on to in an unbiased space. Because sometimes people are like, well, I could just talk to my friend for that. I could just call my mama for that. You can, but That's not an unbiased space. Those aren't unbiased opinions. And then how do you know they're not dealing with their own things where you always calling them feeling like they're your personal therapist? It also helps you to gain tools to manage your anxiety, manage your stress, your depression, your emotional triggers, and all of these things. Like a lot of times, people, that's all people need is just tools, and they're not equipped with them. So therapy will help with that. It helps break those generational cycles. All the people before you that felt like they couldn't, whether they didn't have the resources, the knowledge, or the interest to getting help mentally, you can be the one to break that stigma. Because think about all the people in your family that are before, that came before you, your parents, your grandparents, aunts, uncles, and think about the state of their mental health and what they did to, or what they're doing, if they're still here, to support themselves with their mental health. Um, and you could be the change. You know, you don't have to suffer with your mental health. You don't have to be afraid. You don't have to feel like something's wrong with you. You don't have to pass it along to your children to have these habits of not taking care of their mental health. And again, like I said, the eye opener that I had when my first therapist is learning how to communicate certain things and learning how to set boundaries and having those tools to stop being a people pleaser. And also, therapy can help you fully feel seen and understood and heard when sometimes you may not have ever felt that way. So, in conclusion of today's Mental Health Awareness Month topic, go to therapy. Find you a therapist that will either take the insurance that you have or will work with your budget, vet them. You know, you don't have to commit. That's another thing. Sometimes people feel like once they get with a therapist, they have to just stick it out with them, even if they don't really like something about them or they don't like the way their sessions are going. Get you another therapist. You don't have to stay committed to them. If you, after session 1, 2, or 100, it's something about them that you're not feeling, find you somebody else. But anyway, let's pivot into the main topic. So yesterday we were talking about hoodoo, because I had just watched the movie Sinners, and I saw a lot of people on the internet in an uproar about some of the hoodoo that was included in the film. So you can go back and watch yesterday's episode to see what I talked about when it came to that. But I also wanted to talk about, today I want to talk about protect and provide. So one of the things that people loved about the movie Sinners was Annie and Smoke's relationship. So Annie was the hoodoo woman, the herbalist, the hoodoo practitioner, love interest of Smoke, who was a soldier. He was about his business. He was serious. He didn't really play too many games. Like he wasn't. I think they said he might have smiled once in the whole movie. But yesterday we talked about how Annie protected Smoke spiritually, by praying over him, praying for him, providing him with the mojo bag, doing certain rituals, just making sure that he was good and he was going to come back home from the war, from Chicago, from whatever he had going on. She was praying over him and protecting him that way. And Smoke was a protector. He protected her physically. He was about that life. He will pew 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 whoever he needed to do that to. He was a soldier. But I wanted to discuss that, and I feel like it was just a good analogy to get into the topic of how Black men and Black women protect each other, or lack thereof, because we often hear, Black women being the most unprotected species. And we oftentimes feel that way, and sometimes it does seem that way. If you want to know my full opinion about that, I had an episode on my Cool Weirdos podcast that's still on this channel on YouTube called Who's Gonna Protect Us? And on that episode, I talked about my experiences with domestic violence and a conversation that I had with my friend who is a man. And I was saying something about men protecting women. And then his response was, well, who's going to protect us? And I don't think black men understand how much. I ain't gonna say I don't think black men understand. Some black men don't understand or maybe acknowledge how much black women are constantly protecting black men. And when I say protect, I'm not just talking about physically, fighting for them or getting in the getting in the boxing ring type vibes. I'm just talking about as a whole, even like what Annie was doing for Smoke, spiritually covering them and protecting them, praying for them. Um, Even going back to slavery days when there were buck breaking practices being done on black men in front of their families, them being, you know, sexually assaulted, them being tortured, bodies being attached to horses and getting pulled apart and getting whipped and hung, lynched, and all of these terrible things in front of their families. Usually the biggest, strongest black man on the plantation um would be having these black buck breaking practices done to them. Excuse me. My mind is two topics ahead. But they would be having these practices done to them, and then the women, the children would be watching the other men. And so this is automatically ingrained into the black woman to make sure she's protecting her black sons and her black brothers or whoever is around her, because she saw what happened to her husband, who she always thought was the biggest and strongest, or her father. And so now she's teaching her son to be subservient and to listen and to comply and to don't do that, don't say that. This is how you got to act. So it's kind of naturally already ingrained in us. I'm sure way before slavery days, but even more so because of some of the practices that were done. So it on the episode Who's Gonna Protect Us, I talked about how black women are often in a position to protect black men, even when they're not only not protecting us, but even when they're harming us. Because, say, for instance, a black woman is in an abusive relationship or she has been harmed by a man. We have been taught not to call the police on our people, most of us. So usually we're not going to get law enforcement involved because we don't want to send nobody to prison. We don't want to send nobody to jail. We don't want to get the law in our business. All of these things that have been ingrained in us. Then when you think about the man or the men that we can call to protect us, call your father, call your brothers, call your cousins, call your homies. You're inviting them into a situation where they can be harmed. So you don't do that because you want to protect them. And then say they do pull up, then you're also being concerned about this person that has been harming you. You're like, oh, I don't want you to hurt them. Don't hurt them. Don't beat them up. Don't kill them. Whatever that person is thinking about doing, we're often thinking about making sure that this doesn't escalate to something else. And it just puts us in a bad position, because that question, I feel, is better asked for us. Who is going to protect us? I know there are some women that don't mind calling their brothers or calling their uncles or whoever to come fight their battles. But the majority, I feel like black women often try to protect everybody involved. They don't want to pull their loved ones into no mess. And then sometimes the person that's abusing them, they're thinking about who else it will affect. Oh, I don't want them harmed because they got kids, or maybe they have kids together. That's my baby's father. They need their father. I don't want this to happen to them. So it puts you in a tough position to not be protected by anybody because you're trying to protect everybody else. So I posed that question on that episode when I initially published that episode some years back. And I'll say it again, like when it comes to Black men, how do y'all want to protect us? Because I'm sure y'all don't want to be pulled into no mess or no harm's way, or get yourself in a position where you could be locked up trying to protect somebody. So what is the advice? I know there are some men that just be like, don't worry about that, call me if you need me. But what do you all advise? I feel like the best advice is to, of course, try to choose better partners that or people in your life, vet them, and do the best you can to not be with people who you need protection from. But it could be a random person. It might not necessarily be your partner or somebody you with. It could be somebody that you just encounter, or you in the wrong place at the wrong time. So I just think, from my perspective, that the number one thing you can do is try to avoid violent men. Um, and then I think in some cases you can't be afraid to call the law, even though that's not our culture and that's not what we're used to doing. But if somebody is threatening your life, and of course, a lot of men will tell you to learn how to protect yourself and be armed. Not all women are comfortable with that, but it's like we've gotten to the point where everybody's got to be packing. So that's an option, I guess. Also, self-defense, like being able to fight, and not just fight a woman, but be able to fight a man and defend yourself if you're attacked. So those are some of the things that you can do. And then you just have conversations with the men in your life as far as what moves they want you to make if you ever do need protection. Like, are they the people that you can lean on, or what they advise you to do in those situations? But I think that it's a hard position to be in. But number one thing is just try to avoid those situations. And if you have to be in them, then stop trying to put everybody else's, not talking about your loved ones, but whoever it is that has harmed you, stop trying to protect that person. Because oftentimes, especially abused women, since I have experience being an abused woman, it's like somebody putting their hands on you and you still not willing to have them have consequences like jail or getting their ass beat. It's it's hard to explain, but it is something that women deal with when they're in that situation. But I wanted to talk about a couple of examples that I've seen this week when it comes to protect and provide. The first one being, I don't know if y'all saw the recent video of T.I. performing on stage in the middle of his rap. I think he was singing 24's money, hoes, guys, and clothes. That's how all my. And you see him kind of looking off to the side, and he's like, hey, what y'all doing? Leave her alone. She with me. They with us. They good. Leave them alone. Then you see him going back into the rap. And he's still kind of looking over there. And then all of a sudden he runs and jumps off the stage and goes over to where his wife is. His wife is Tiny Harris of Escape. And he don't play about his wife. So according to Tiny, she was saying that there was like somebody over there, security or somebody, that was trying to like direct them to somewhere else. T.I. was trying to let them know that they were fine standing there on the side of the stage because they were with him. But whoever the person was, they weren't listening to T.I. They still tried to do what they need to do. And he don't play about his wife, so he jumped off the stage and got to it. And one thing I noticed in the comments were how excited people were about the fact that T.I. don't play about his wife. Now, one thing about T.I. and Tiny, they've been together for over 20 years. People are so rude and disrespectful about Tiny's looks. They're always talking shit about her looks and about why T.I. chose her and all of that stuff. But one thing about T.I. is that he loves his wife, and apparently he loves the way she looks as well. And everybody that knows Tiny always has nothing but good things to say about her. They say she has a beautiful personality. She has a certain light about her. She cares about everybody. She's cool. And she is pretty. You know, she's had some surgeries or whatever. She has a unique look, but she's not an ugly woman. So just that alone, that I'm sure that's a lot for a man to constantly see his woman being dragged and seeing all people being so disrespectful all the time. But what he's not gonna do is let you play in her face, in his face. He's not gonna do that. And he showed that when he jumped up off of that stage. What up, realist? Thank you for pulling up. But I just wanted to say how I brought the comments up because it's interesting how people are constantly disrespecting her and her looks and all of that. But they celebrated how T.I. jumped off that stage behind her and how he don't play about her. So the same, I mean, I don't know if it's the same type of people, but I was just gonna say the same people that criticize him for choosing her, they are celebrating him for protecting her. And I think it's so rare these days for us to see Black women being protected or women being protected, that to see him going right into action was like refreshing for people to see. And then in the next clip, he was back on stage, and then something else went on, and he tapped his son, their son King, and King hopped off, and he wasn't playing by his mama either. So, you know, of course, we don't want things to get violent or turn up or whatever, but it is nice to see men hopping in action about their wife or their mother, because I don't know, y'all. We seem like we ain't been protected out here. I don't know. And then I wanted to talk about a clip. I do intend on watching the full episode because it looks like a great episode. Shan, I think her name is pronounced Shan Brudum. On she used to have a podcast called Lovers and Friends, but now it's Lovers by Shan. And she had Cree Summers on her show recently. So I'm gonna watch the full episode and come back and talk about it a little bit more. But I saw a clip earlier, and Shan is like a sexologist. So a lot of her podcasts are about intimacy and relationship with sex and self and all of these things. So her and Cree were talking about her sex life, and she was basically saying that her sex and even herself and her relationships are tied to feeling safe. And I talk about this all the time. Like, for women, most women, um, you know, intimacy, and even when men talk about women aren't as feminine anymore, when women say things like they want a man that'll allow them to bring that femininity out or to allow them to be soft, it's not necessarily saying that you, because some men will be like, what do I look like saying I need a woman to be masculine? I get what you're trying to say. It doesn't necessarily sound right when you compare it, but I think it's not comparable, because I do believe that femininity and softness and vulnerability require safety in order to thrive. Now, a woman is gonna, you know, a woman usually is gonna be naturally feminine, naturally a little soft. Sometimes, you know, I know there's some hard women out here, some masculine women. I know that, but there's just a woman's nature. You're gonna have certain level of femininity, softness, and all of that. But when you feel safe enough to let your guard down, safe enough to frolic and be and hand over responsibilities and allow someone to take over, that requires feeling safe. So Cree was an alpha male, but she gave the example of how sometimes they would go to the gas station and there would be no money for gas. And she said he almost thrived in those situations. Like, it would be like, ooh, you know, watch your dad work this out. Like, how we gonna get some gas? I got this covered. We gonna figure it out. But, you know, watch me work. So she was given that example to say that even though her dad didn't have the money per se to provide all the time, what he did provide her and her mother was a sense of We gonna be all right. Whatever it is that we going through, you don't have to worry about it because I'm gonna handle it. So she mentioned how some of her relationships, she has pushed men away or broke up with them because of their mindset and their approach to uncertainty. She was like, I don't want to come across as if I'm saying that I'm turned off by or I'm not going to stand by my man when he has fear or uncertainty. It's just a matter of how it's approached. So I totally agree. Like, it's, I think sometimes men feel like we want them to be superheroes and always have it together and all of that. And that's a lot of pressure. I get that. But that's not the case. It's just like, do you have a defeatist mindset? Like, are you, and it's not just for your woman or just for your family, but just for yourself. Like, are you going to be pessimistic about it and you just going to sit and wallow in the emotion of it? Or do you have some, you can express and acknowledge your feeling about it? Like, damn, I'm stressed out, or ooh, I'm overwhelmed, or ooh, damn, this shit is making me sad. But you're thinking of a solution or you're acting on the next move to pivot. You have the ability to pivot. You have the ability to reassure your family or your woman that I might not know right now how we're gonna get out of this or what we're gonna do to meet this goal, but I'm working on it and I got it and we got this and everything's gonna be all right. So they were mentioning in the show that when it comes to providing a provision, everyone automatically goes straight to finances, money. And although that is wonderful, because like they said, we do live in a capitalistic society, we do, money is required to handle business. Money is required to give you some sense of stability. But that mindset and that approach and being solution oriented or not makes a bigger difference than just I got the money. Do you have the mindset, if you don't have the money, if we do go through hard times, to shield me from the stress and the worry of feeling like you ain't got it, you ain't got the strength, you ain't got the vision, like like he said in Sinners, no vision. Like, do you have the vision? Do you have the go get 'em spirit to be able to pivot in tough times? And I think that's very important. Very, very, very important. So I do believe that both men and women provide and protect each other in different ways. And it's needed. It's a reciprocal thing. I would love to hear y'all thoughts on it. If you're not here live, you can come back and watch it back and tell me what you think. But, excuse me. Being a safe space for someone to thrive in their femininity, to share, to be themselves, to be authentic, to have an emotion. And this goes for both men and women. Being a safe space, providing a safe space. That is currency right there. That is currency. Providing a safe space. But y'all, it is late. We're going to wrap this up. I want you all to make sure that you are tapped in with me. Because if you don't have a safe space, or if you need an additional safe space, allow me to be that for you. If you need support on your journey of healing, self-love, self-discovery, intentional dating, I'll be your life coach to help you find a therapist. Let me know. Tap in. I have programs available, and I also have one-on-one coaching available. So you can visit my website, oshacerese.com. I have an amazing 6-week program called One Single Step at a Time. That is a healing program. It is guided. It comes with 6 weekly, 6. Does that make sense? 6 weekly coaching. Once a week for 6 weeks. I'm tired, y'all. Yeah, 6 weekly coaching sessions. And then it also comes with the guided journal, How to Beat Single. It comes in 2 designs, so you can choose our older design here or the newer design here. Um, and if you are looking for a tool to start your healing journey, you're not really ready for a workshop, coaching, or anything just yet, you can always grab the guided journal and get to work on your own in your own self-paced time. If you do want a course that's a little bit less intense than the 6 weeks, 5 days and 5 ways in 5 days, excuse me, is my self-love program. You can finish it in as little as 5 days, or you can take up to 60 days. It's self-paced. It does come with one free coaching session after you complete it. After you complete it, tap in with me. We have a free session. And if you just don't know what you need, you need something, you need some support, something that I've said online or to you directly has resonated, and you want to go ahead and book a coaching session with me regularly, or you want to enroll in a class but you don't know which one to take, just book a discovery call and we'll figure it out together. Okay. And if you are a business owner, a content creator, an influencer, if you have gifts that you want to utilize and monetize, if you have ideas and you just don't know what to do with them, if you want to show up effectively on social media and you just need a strategy, or if you have some type of knowledge or skills that you can share with someone and you want to create an ebook or an e-course, go ahead and book a strategy session and we're going to get you together. Book a strategy session and I will help you with whatever it is that you need support with in that arena as well. And for you singles, ready to mingle, if you are an intentional dater, a hopeful romantic looking for love in 2025, we almost halfway through 2025, y'all. We got to find you some love. You need to be on the Intentional Love Collective database. That is a growing community where I can tap in with you and match make you or invite you to exclusive dating events, singles mixers with your preferences, ideal mate, desires, standards, all of that in mind. And of course, you're the first one to know about my events. So next event for the Intentional Love Collective, we're doing a collaboration with the original Cowboy Club. Shout out to Latrice, aka El Monet. You can find her at elmonet444.com or elmonet444 on Instagram. We are having a Western themed singles event. I'm really sleepy. I'm like shutting down as we speak. We're having a Western themed singles event on May 16th in Atlanta at Atlantucky. It's a Friday, 2 weeks from today, actually, 6 to 9 p.m. Pull up and shoot your shots. Wear your Western wear. If you don't have it, come anyway. But this is your time to pull out your cowboy hats, your cute outfits, your vests, your dresses, your bell bottoms, your boots, your fans. Hold up. Where them fans at? Hold up. I gotta practice on my fan throwing. See, this is like an auntie skill. That ain't it. Hold up. I'm gonna get it. Where them fans at? There we go. So we are going to be teaching some line dances. I was on another app today live, learning a couple of line dances. I know the 3 line dances that I'm gonna be teaching. I already know them, but I was practicing them because I gotta perfect them. And I've recently learned a couple of more that I'm not gonna be teaching, but I just learned. Today I learned 2 more. I learned the Wetter remix with Twista and whatever the country singer is. I learned that one. And then I learned the West Coast one off of Lucy Pearl, Lucy Pearl and Snoop Dogg, and I think Q-Tip is on that song too. I tried to do the other way when you didn't let me back. And then, however it go, I don't know the words. I really want you. So I learned that one. Because y'all know I grew up in Denver. Denver is very like West Coast influenced. It's a lot of gang culture there. Crips, Bloods. I have a lot of Crips that I grew up around. Some are in my family. So we all sea walked since I was a kid. I ain't no Crip. I ain't about that life. But I'm a sea walk though. And at my big grown age of 36, I still be sea walk. I will still bust a sea walk. So when I saw that they had a not a Western, but like a West Coast line dance, I had to learn that one. So I learned those two today. And I practiced. I did probably like 7 line dances today. That was my exercise for today. I did boots on the ground. I did flex. Flex your body. I did that one. I did country girl. I like them girls with the cowboy. I like them girls with them Daisy Dukes. I did that one. I did the 2 that I just said that I learned, the Wetter remix and You by Lucy Pearl. I did Tamia, Close the Door, I won't fall, I can't get enough of you. And I was doing the wobble. 7 line dances. It was a great workout, great cardio. Right before I showered, I was literally drenched in sweat. So I ain't doing all that at the event, but we gonna do it. We gonna do some line dancing. And we're gonna have speed dating, and we're gonna be doing some interactive games and activities. It's gonna be a time. So if you're single and you're in the Atlanta area, you can drive up. If you have a woman or a man already, y'all could pull up together and participate in the other things. You just won't speed date. But it's a singles event for the most part. But come through. Put on your clothes and pull up. We're having a great time. They do have a menu there. So they have pizza and paninis. They have a vegan pizza option as well. And it's a black owned brewery. It's actually owned by the rap group Nappy Roots. So pull up. Pull up on us. And I am aware that I did not send out a love letter last weekend because y'all know I was traveling to Chicago. And then I didn't publish a love letter today. So I got a special surprise for y'all this weekend. So if you're not subscribed to my love letters, go ahead and do that now. It's in my bio. Also in my bio is the book wait list. For those of you who've been saying, write the book about my marriage and about the things that I went through. The book is coming. The book is happening. Join the wait list, because it's not just a wait list that's just going to have you like, okay, I'm writing today. Here it's the release date. No, it's a space, a safe space for us to be on this journey together. Because some people have not made it out and they're still dealing with what I was dealing with in that relationship. So join the book wait list. You're going to have more access to me in the process, and the support and the space, the community. So tap in with that. Also, something else. I don't know, but just stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe because I got more content coming. I'm just playing catch up, y'all. Y'all know when I travel, sometimes it just throws me off. So we're getting back on track now. Let me give y'all a few journaling prompts, and we're going to wrap it up. So, what does emotional and spiritual protection look like to you? Not what you think it means, but what does that look like for you? What does emotional and spiritual protection look like for you? When have you felt truly safe in a relationship? And what created that safety? Let me think about that myself. That's deep. Now, I know I felt physically safe in certain connections. Did I? Yeah. But physically safe is one thing, but feeling emotionally and spiritually safe, like being allowed to be myself fully, be my authentic self, be accepted, be connected in that way. It's been a while. Well, let me say this. I was dating a therapist a couple of years ago. I told y'all about this. And I don't even think it's just because he was a therapist. But we were really good at holding space for each other. I don't think it would have made a great relationship because it would have just been too much counseling between the two of us. But maybe a friendship, but we didn't stay connected in that way. But yeah, he made me feel safe to share. Um, what are your hesitations, if any, around seeking therapy or opening up emotionally? And I'm gonna give you two more. We're gonna do 5 journaling prompts today, since I didn't send out my love letter today. But I still have a surprise for y'all this weekend, or a gift. What are your hesitations around seeking therapy or opening up emotionally? And then the fourth one is, do you overextend yourself trying to protect others? And at what cost? Do you overextend yourself trying to protect others, and at what cost? And last but certainly not least, how can you become a safer space for yourself? How can you become a safer space for yourself? So thank you all for tuning in. We made it. I was a little sleepy on this episode, so forgive me. But yeah. Make sure y'all tapped in. Go watch my vlog if you haven't already. I posted a vlog earlier today. And then if you weren't on yesterday's show, our new intention, our new milestone goal for this month is 500 new subscribers, because so far since I've set my intentions, each time we've made it and we've surpassed it. We had the goal of 200, we made it. We had the goal of 300, we made it. So I'm going to challenge myself to gain 500, or not gain 500, but make it to 500 subscribers by the end of this month. Hopefully more, but we're going to set that intention. So if you know someone that would be interested in the type of content that I have, somebody that want to pull up to the live show, somebody that likes vlogs, somebody that likes reviews, somebody that likes story times, send them my way. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I will talk to you tomorrow. Nope. Correct myself. I will talk to y'all Monday. I'll see y'all Monday. I think I can commit to that. I'm going to be doing a little bit of traveling on Monday, but we'll see. I'm going to try my hardest to be here on Monday. But I'll see y'all next week. I love you. Have a great weekend. Cheers.